My name is Katherine, and I am 29 years old. As I stood in my living room 3 days after burying my husband, I heard my mother whisper to my father, "She's a burden now." My father nodded slowly. My in-laws avoided my eyes completely. I realized in that moment I was no longer a wife, just a liability nobody wanted. My mother-in-law turned to me with cold eyes and said, "Go back to your parents. We have no place for widows here." I gripped my late husband's framed photo tightly and whispered under my breath, "You'll all regret this." Before I tell you how I turned everything around, drop a comment about where you're watching from. If you've ever felt abandoned by those who should love you most, please like and subscribe. My story will show you that being treated like trash doesn't mean you're trash. The funeral was only 3 days ago, but my in-laws had already made their decision. I sat on the edge of the sofa in their living room, still wearing black, still numb from grief. My husband Marcus had been everything to me. We married 4 years ago against both families' wishes. They said we were too young, too ambitious, too different. But we loved each other deeply and built a beautiful life together. Now he was gone, taken by a sudden car accident that left me shattered. I thought our families would finally come together to support me. Instead, they circled like vultures. My mother-in-law, Patricia, stood by the window with her arms crossed. My father-in-law sat in his chair, stone-faced. My own parents had come that morning but stayed quiet, uncomfortable. Nobody asked how I felt. Nobody offered comfort. The silence was thick and suffocating. Patricia finally spoke. "Katherine, you cannot stay here any longer. This house belongs to my son's family, and without him, you are not family." Her words hit me like a slap. I looked at my parents for support, but my mother looked away. My father cleared his throat nervously. "Perhaps it's best you come home with us for now," he said quietly. I felt my world crumbling. I had lived in this house for 3 years with Marcus. We had painted these walls together, chosen the furniture, planted flowers in the small garden. Now I was being told to leave as if I had never belonged. I packed a single suitcase that afternoon while Patricia watched from the doorway to make sure I didn't take anything valuable. I left behind wedding gifts, kitchen items, even clothes. I took only what fit in one bag. When I arrived at my parents' house, my mother stood at the door with her arms folded. She didn't open it immediately. "You should have listened when we told you not to marry him," my mother said as she finally unlocked the door. Her words stung more than the rejection from my in-laws. My father showed me to the garage apartment. It was small, dusty, filled with old boxes and broken furniture. "You can sleep here temporarily," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Just until you figure things out." I wanted to scream, to cry, to demand better treatment. But I was too tired, too broken. I swept the floor, spread a blanket on the old mattress they provided, and lay down in the darkness. That night, unable to sleep, I went through Marcus's belongings in my suitcase. His shirt still smelled like him. His watch was stopped at the exact time of the accident. Then I found something unusual in the inner pocket of his favorite jacket, a sealed envelope with my name written in his handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and some documents. "My dearest Katherine," it began. "If you are reading this, something has happened to me. I wanted to tell you in person, but I kept waiting for the right time. 6 months ago, I invested in a land development project outside the city. I used money I had been saving since before we married. The property is in a developing area that will become very valuable soon. I registered it under a trust with your name as the sole beneficiary. The documents are hidden in my office at work, in the blue file cabinet, 3rd drawer, behind the tax folders. This is our future, our security. Please find them and protect them. I love you always. Marcus." Tears streamed down my face as I read his words over and over. He had been planning for our future even as I complained about our small apartment and modest lifestyle. He had been building something for us in secret. The next morning, my brother Tyler barged into the garage apartment without knocking. Mom said you have Marcus's phone. The family needs it to sort out his accounts. I had been clutching Marcus's phone all night, reading through our old messages, looking at our photos. Why do they need his phone? I asked. Because there might be money in his accounts that needs to be shared with the family, Tyler said impatiently. Hand it over, Katherine. Don't be selfish. I realized then that they saw Marcus's death as an opportunity. My own brother was treating me like an obstacle to money that wasn't even his. I'll give it to the lawyer handling his estate, I said firmly. Tyler's face darkened. You're being difficult. Mom won't like this. After he left, I hid Marcus's letter and my phone in a small bag I kept under my clothes. I knew I had to find those documents before anyone else did. 2 days later, I discovered something that broke my heart completely. My cousin mentioned seeing my parents at a car dealership. They were selling a nice Honda, she said casually. I didn't know they had that kind of car. My blood ran cold. Marcus's car had been damaged in the accident but was still valuable for parts. The insurance company had released it to the family. I rushed home and confronted my mother. You sold Marcus's car? She didn't even look ashamed. The car was just sitting there. Your father and I needed money for house repairs. Tyler took his share too. We have bills to pay, Katherine. That car belonged to my husband. You had no right. Your husband is dead, she said coldly. And you're living under our roof eating our food. We did what we had to do. I walked back to the garage apartment in a daze. My own family had stolen from me and felt justified. That night, I made a decision. I would find that land and rebuild my life, no matter what it took. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I know about the land. Meet me at the coffee shop on Main Street tomorrow at 3 p.m. Come alone. A friend. My heart raced. Who could know about the land? Had Marcus told someone? Could this be a trap? I spent the whole day debating whether to go. It could be dangerous to meet a stranger. But I was desperate for answers, desperate for any path forward. I decided to take the risk. The next afternoon, I told my mother I was going to look for work. She barely acknowledged me. I took a bus to the coffee shop, my heart pounding the entire way. At exactly 3 p.m., a tall man in his 30s approached me. Katherine? He asked gently. I nodded, too nervous to speak. My name is Daniel. I was Marcus's business partner. We need to talk about the land project. But not here. Follow me. We walked to a quiet corner booth in the back of the coffee shop. Daniel ordered coffee for both of us, giving me time to study him. He had kind eyes and spoke softly, reminding me a bit of Marcus. How did you know about the land? I asked. Marcus told me about it 3 months ago. We were planning to develop it together once the city announced the new commercial zoning project. My mind spun. What zoning project? The city is rezoning that entire district for commercial development. Once it's announced officially, land values will multiply 10 times, maybe more. Marcus bought in early because I gave him insider information. So the land is real? It's valuable? Daniel nodded. Very real. Very valuable. But there's a problem. The documents Marcus mentioned in his letter, we need them to prove ownership. And Katherine, your in-laws are looking for them too. My blood ran cold. How do they know? Someone must have mentioned the investment to them. They've been asking questions, searching Marcus's things. I left the meeting with Daniel feeling both hopeful and terrified. The land could change my life, but powerful people were already trying to take it. I needed to get those documents from Marcus's office before anyone else did. But 2 days later, everything fell apart. Patricia showed up at my parents' house with 3 of her relatives. She was shouting before she even reached the door. Thief! Ungrateful thief! You stole from my dead son. Neighbors began gathering. My mother came outside looking confused. What is happening? Your daughter stole important documents from my son's office. She is trying to claim property that belongs to our family. I stepped out of the garage apartment, my heart racing. I didn't steal anything. I have every right to my husband's belongings. You have no rights. Patricia screamed. You were married for just 4 years. We are his blood family. Everything he owned belongs to us. The crowd murmured. In our community, parents were always believed over young widows. I stood there humiliated, clutching Marcus's photo, tears streaming down my face. That evening, Daniel called with worse news. Katherine, your in-laws filed a police report claiming you forged documents to steal property. What? I haven't even found the documents yet. I know, but they're trying to block you legally. If you're arrested, they can search your belongings and find Marcus's letter. Then they'll know exactly where to look. What should I do? Stay calm. I'm working on something. But be careful. They're coming for you. 2 days later, police officers arrived at my parents' house. My mother called me outside where they waited with Patricia. Katherine Harrison, you are under arrest for fraudulent property claims and forgery, the senior officer announced. What? I haven't done anything. You can explain at the station, he said, pulling out handcuffs. I looked at my mother, begging silently for her to defend me. She looked away, ashamed but silent. As they led me to the police car, neighbors watched and whispered. I had hit rock bottom. In the cell, I sat on the cold bench and cried until I had no tears left. Hours later, a female police officer approached my cell. She looked around to make sure no one was watching, then whispered, someone paid for your release. You're free to go. Who? I asked, confused. A woman named Victoria Morrison. She's waiting outside. I had never heard that name before. When I stepped outside the station, a well-dressed woman in her 50s stood beside a sleek car. She smiled warmly. Katherine, my name is Victoria Morrison. I was your husband's former boss at the engineering firm. Marcus spoke about you often. I'm sorry for your loss. You paid for my release? Yes. What they're doing to you is wrong. I know about the land, and I know you're the rightful owner. But you need help, and you need it now. She drove me to her office, a beautiful building in the business district. I run a real estate development company. I want to offer you a job and help you fight for what's yours. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Why would you help me? Because Marcus was brilliant and loyal. And because I've seen too many widows destroyed by greedy families. Not this time. Victoria gave me a small apartment near her office and a job as her assistant. For the first time in weeks, I felt human again. I had a clean bed, regular meals, and work that gave me purpose. I learned quickly, absorbing everything about real estate, property law, and business negotiations. Victoria was patient but pushed me hard. You have potential, Katherine. Let them call you a burden. I'm going to make you a force. But she also warned me constantly. Your in-laws are watching. They have people asking questions about you. Be careful who you trust. 3 weeks into my new job, Daniel called with shocking news. Katherine, I found out the true value of that land. The city just announced the commercial zoning project officially. Your property is now worth over $2 million. Maybe more. I nearly dropped the phone. $2 million. It was more money than I could imagine. But there's something else, Daniel continued. Your in-laws found a lawyer. They're planning to forge documents claiming Marcus bought the land as family property. True to Daniel's warning, my in-laws took me to court 2 months later. They claimed Marcus had used family money to buy the land and that I was fraudulently trying to claim it. They brought fake witnesses, distant relatives who swore they had given Marcus money for investments. The courtroom was packed. Patricia sat in the front row looking righteous and wronged. My own parents sat in the back, uncomfortable but silent. I felt alone until I saw Victoria enter with her lawyer. She sat beside me and squeezed my hand. "Don't worry. We have something they don't expect." When it was my turn to present evidence, Victoria's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, we have audio recordings made by the deceased, Marcus Harrison, documenting his intentions for this property." The courtroom fell silent as the lawyer played the recording. Marcus's voice filled the room, clear and unmistakable. "This land is for my wife Katherine and our future children. I bought it with money I saved before marriage. It belongs to her alone." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Patricia jumped up, shouting, "That recording is fake." But the lawyer presented authentication documents from a sound expert. Marcus had made the recording at his office and saved it with time-stamped metadata. It was genuine. I watched my in-laws' confident expressions crumble into panic. The judge studied the documents carefully, then looked at Patricia with disapproval. "This court does not appreciate fraudulent claims. I will review all evidence and announce my decision next week." As people filed out, I felt victorious for the first time. But then my father collapsed in the hallway. My mother screamed. People rushed to help. He was rushed to the hospital, and I rode in the ambulance, my heart torn between anger at him and concern for his health. At the hospital, while my mother spoke with doctors, my father grabbed my hand weakly. "Katherine, I need to tell you something. I took money from Patricia." My father's confession poured out in the hospital room. Patricia had given him $10,000 to testify against me in court. He was supposed to claim that Marcus had promised to buy land for the extended family. "I was desperate," he said weakly. "Business has been bad. Your mother was pressuring me. I'm sorry, my daughter. I'm so sorry." I wanted to be angry, but seeing him so broken, I felt only sadness. "Dad, how could you?" "I have something for you," he whispered, reaching into his pocket with trembling fingers. He pulled out a small flash drive. "Patricia gave this to me by mistake when she paid me. She meant to give me a different one. I looked at it yesterday. Katherine, you need to see what's on it." After he fell asleep, I took the flash drive to a computer at the hospital business center. What I found made my hands shake. Bank transfer records showed regular payments from Marcus's account to Patricia's account over 2 years. Large amounts. $2,000, $5,000, $3,000. They had been draining him while he was alive. I met with Daniel and Victoria to review the flash drive contents. "This proves they were exploiting him financially," Victoria said, her voice tight with anger. "Marcus was sending them money regularly while they treated him poorly." "What should I do?" I asked. "Go public," Daniel said. "Let everyone see what kind of people they really are." That night, I created an anonymous account and posted the bank records on popular community forums and social media. I didn't add commentary, just the facts with dates and amounts. By morning, the story had spread everywhere. Greedy in-laws drain son-in-law dry then try to steal widow's inheritance. The community was outraged. Patricia's family business, a small boutique shop, faced immediate backlash. Customers stopped coming. Within 3 days, they lost a major wholesale contract. People whispered and pointed when family members walked by. They knew I was behind it, but they had no proof. Victoria's security team made sure I stayed safe as tensions rose. My in-laws' retaliation came swiftly. One evening as I walked home from work, a dark SUV pulled up beside me. "Katherine Harrison? Someone wants to talk to you. Get in the vehicle." My heart raced. "I'm not going anywhere with you." One man stepped closer, his voice threatening. "We're not asking. You've caused enough trouble. Time to end this." Just as panic overwhelmed me, another car screeched to a stop. 2 security men jumped out, Victoria's team. "Step away from her now," one commanded, hand on his radio. The men hesitated, then quickly drove away. That night, Victoria called me to her home. "Katherine, they're getting desperate. Desperate people do dangerous things. You need to decide, keep hiding or face them head-on." "What do you mean?" "Stop reacting. Start acting. Build something they can't touch or destroy. Show them you're not a victim anymore." Her words ignited something inside me. She was right. I had been defending myself, running, hiding. It was time to take control. With Victoria's guidance and a small loan, I registered my own real estate company, Phoenix Properties. The name represented exactly what I was doing, rising from ashes. I started small, helping people find affordable properties and offering consultation services. Victoria connected me with clients and taught me everything about the business. Within 2 months, I made my first significant commission. Within 4 months, I had hired 2 employees. The transformation was remarkable. I went from sleeping in a garage apartment to running a business. From being called a burden to being called boss. My confidence grew with each success. Then came an unexpected breakthrough. A wealthy businessman named William Bradford contacted me. "I heard good things about Phoenix Properties. I'm looking to invest in property development." During our meeting, he mentioned he was pulling out of another deal. "The family has proven to be dishonest. I can't work with people who lack integrity." "May I ask which family?" "The Harrisons. They run a boutique business, I think." William Bradford had been planning a $5 million partnership with my in-laws' extended family business. But after the scandal and evidence of their dishonesty, he withdrew completely. Instead, he offered to invest in my company. "You're young, honest, and you have fire in your eyes. I like that. Let's build something together." The contract he proposed would make Phoenix Properties a major player. I could barely believe it. Everything my in-laws had tried to take from me was becoming mine through legitimate success. But then I received a surprising phone call from Patricia. Her voice was humble, almost pleading. "Katherine, we want to talk. Can you come for dinner this Saturday? Let's settle this as family." I was immediately suspicious. Daniel and Victoria both warned me not to go. But something made me curious. I wanted to see what they would try next. "I'll come," I said. "But I won't come alone." On Saturday evening, I arrived with Daniel and a lawyer Victoria recommended. My in-laws seemed surprised but maintained polite smiles. Dinner was awkward. They praised the food, asked about my business, pretended everything was fine. But I felt the tension underneath their smiles. Halfway through the meal, I excused myself to use the bathroom. As I walked down the hallway, I heard voices coming from the kitchen. I stopped and listened. "Did you add it to her food?" Patricia's voice. "Yes, Mother. Enough to make her very sick. By tomorrow, she'll be too weak to fight. Maybe she'll even die. Then this nightmare ends." My blood turned to ice. They were trying to poison me. I pulled out my phone and started recording, moving closer to the kitchen door. "What if someone finds out?" another voice asked nervously. "Who will suspect? She's been stressed. Everyone will think it's natural. And once she's gone, that land becomes family property by default. We'll forge whatever documents we need." I had heard enough. I walked back to the dining room, my hands shaking but my mind clear. I had recorded everything. Now I needed to end this once and for all. I sat back at the table and smiled calmly. Everyone resumed eating. My in-laws watched me carefully, waiting for me to take another bite. Instead, I took out my phone. "Before we finish dinner, I want to share something with everyone." I pressed play on the recording. Their voices filled the room, discussing poison, death, and forged documents. The color drained from every face. Patricia stood up, knocking over her chair. "You were spying? You recorded us in our own home?" "No, Patricia. I recorded you planning to murder me. Daniel and the lawyer stood up, positioning themselves protectively beside me. This recording is evidence of attempted murder, the lawyer said calmly. The police have already been notified. They should arrive any moment. As if on cue, sirens wailed outside. Patricia lunged toward me, but Daniel blocked her. You ungrateful witch. After everything we did for Marcus. You drained him financially, rejected his widow, tried to steal her inheritance, and now attempted murder. I think we're done here. Police officers entered and arrested 4 family members, including Patricia. As they were led away in handcuffs, neighbors gathered outside, shocked and whispering. The court case that followed was swift. With clear audio evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, my in-laws received prison sentences. The attempted poisoning charge was serious, and the judge showed no mercy. My father testified on my behalf, admitting everything about the bribe and their schemes. It was painful watching my in-laws taken away, not because I cared for them, but because the whole situation was tragic. Marcus would have been heartbroken to see his family exposed like this. My parents faced public disgrace. My mother could barely show her face in the neighborhood. My father's business suffered as people questioned his integrity. They had chosen money over their own daughter, and now they were paying the price. But I also faced a choice. Victoria asked me, will you forgive them? I thought about it for days. Finally, I visited my parents. I forgive you, I told them. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or pretending nothing happened. You'll have to earn back my trust. My mother cried. My father nodded silently. It was a start. With the legal battles finally over, I won full rights to Marcus's land. The property was now worth $3 million, and developers were competing to partner with me. But standing on that land one morning, I realized I didn't want to just sell it for profit. Marcus had bought this for our future, for our family, for security. I wanted to honor that intention differently. I decided to build a community center for widows, a safe place where women who lost their husbands could receive counseling, job training, legal help, and support. I would call it Marcus's Hope Center. Victoria loved the idea and helped me plan it. We broke ground 6 months later. The foundation would offer free services to widows facing abuse from in-laws, provide legal assistance, and run skills training programs so women could become financially independent. As I watched construction begin, I felt Marcus's presence. This was bigger than revenge or money. This was purpose. This was turning my pain into something that would help others. The community center opened 1 year after Marcus's death. The ceremony was beautiful. Widows from across the region attended. Victoria gave a powerful speech about women's resilience. Local officials praised the initiative. But the most surprising moment came when a young journalist approached me after the ceremony. Mrs. Harrison, I'm writing a story about Marcus's Hope Center. Can I interview you? Of course, I said. We sat in my new office, and he asked thoughtful questions about my journey, the challenges I faced, and my vision for the center. At the end, he smiled. You know, Victoria Morrison is my mother. She's been talking about you for months. She wants to expand this model internationally. I was stunned. Your mother? She never mentioned, she believes in letting people succeed on their own merit first. But now she wants to help you take this global. There are widows everywhere facing the same abuse, the same abandonment. Your story can inspire them. Your center can be a template. My heart swelled with gratitude and excitement. What started as tragedy was becoming a movement. Today, 2 years after Marcus's death, I stand in front of Marcus's Hope Center, which now serves over 300 widows. Phoenix Properties has grown into a respected company with 12 employees. I've moved into a modest but comfortable home and rebuilt relationships with my parents, though carefully and with boundaries. The land that caused so much pain became a source of healing for countless women. I've received letters from widows across the country thanking me for giving them hope, for showing them that being discarded doesn't mean you're worthless. Sometimes late at night, I look at Marcus's photo and talk to him. I tell him about the center, about the lives being changed, about how his love and planning saved me from destruction. I miss him every single day, but I'm no longer broken. They threw me away like trash, treated me as if I had no value, no rights, no future. But God had other plans. He took my pain and recycled it into purpose. He took my tears and turned them into strength. He took my loneliness and surrounded me with sisters who understand. I am no longer a burden. I am a beacon of hope. And if you're watching this feeling abandoned and worthless, please hear me, your story isn't over. Your pain has purpose. Rise up like a phoenix from those ashes. They may have thrown you away like trash, but God will recycle you into gold. Hi besties, thank you for watching this story. This story is dedicated to every widow who has ever been mistreated by those who should have protected her. Remember, your worth is not determined by how others treat you. It's determined by how you rise after they've knocked you down. What lesson did you learn from this story? Comment below and share with someone who needs to hear this message of hope. Give the story a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Until I bring another story your way, stay strong and keep rising. Bye.